We begin with breaking news from the Middle East, where Iran is responding with force today to U.S. and Israeli airstrikes that killed its supreme leader yesterday. It has launched a wave of missile and drone attacks on Israel and neighboring Arab nations, despite a warning from U.S. President Donald Trump that any retaliation will have serious consequences.
We are not attacking any country in the region. We have no problem, no issue with our Arab neighbors. The only thing we are doing is to conduct an act of self-defense against those bases which are being used by the United States to attack Iran.
Iranian strikes have hit civilian infrastructure across the Middle East region, including this port in Dubai. Hotels and airports have also been struck, with 2 deaths reported. Meanwhile, staff at the Red Crescent offices in Tehran were forced to flee today after Israel carried out a fresh wave of attacks. The agency claims the capital has been hit by 60 attacks in 24 hours, leaving 57 people dead. And Iranian state media has revealed 4 high-ranking defense officials have also been killed in the U.S.-Israeli strikes. They include the commander of the elite Revolutionary Guards and the chief of defense staff. And with Iranian state media confirming that the country's supreme leader died in yesterday's U.S.-Israeli strikes, let's bring in the CBC's Crystal Gamansing for more reaction this morning. Joining us this morning from Jerusalem. Crystal, what are we hearing from Iran this morning?
Well, let's start with a statement from President Masoud Pezeshkian. He had said that at this point, revenge is legitimate, and he is vowing to revenge the death of the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. That was confirmed, as you said, by Iranian state television today. In addition to his comments, we also heard from the Speaker of the Iranian parliament talking about the fact that the capabilities of Iranian defense haven't been touched yet, that there is much more that they can do. And we heard from Ali Larijani. He is the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. He said in an interview on Iranian state television that Americans stabbed Iranians in the heart and that they will in turn stab Americans in the heart. So the rhetoric is being ratcheted up. The threat of more attacks is clearly being stated here. Meanwhile, when we look at the civilian reaction in Iran to this news, we see, at least on state television, an outpouring of sadness. People dressed in black, walking in the streets, crying as they begin 40 days of national mourning. They are trying to show this sense of sadness and despair in Iran with the killing of the supreme leader. On the other hand, there are also images of cheering, of jubilation, of people celebrating the news. Those images are not getting the highlighted or the attention on state television, but that isn't necessarily a surprise. So locally in Iran, there is a mix of reaction, but there is a lot of celebrating going on. Here in Israel, we are also hearing some reaction. In Jerusalem, people were talking about the fact that they are happy to see the regime starting to change, starting to shift. They say they're not only happy for Iranians, but Israelis as well.
I really feel that right now we're on the good path and that everything is going to be fine. And I'm so proud of President Trump. I love him. I'm also an American, also an Israeli. And thank you very much.
We hope everything will be okay and God will help us. That's what we hope.
I want this to end as soon as possible. For everyone who's been sent to reserves to come home, for Iran to be able to have a future that it wants, that the people want, and for us to not continue with these continuous wars.
Now, we don't know how long these military operations will go on for. Everyone is sort of preparing that they will be a longer-term operation as opposed to the 12-day war that we saw back in June of last year.
Crystal, what has the Iranian response been today in terms of retaliatory strikes?
Well, we have seen some strong strikes. In the last little while, there have been a number of air raid alert sirens. There have been a number of interceptions that have been heard. But I want to take you to one community that's about 30 kilometers west of Jerusalem, Bet Shemesh. This is an area where the emergency services are on site, police are on site. At this point, it is unclear if this is a direct hit from a Iranian missile. We can't get a good enough sense on the ground, but the latest coming from emergency officials is that 6 people have been killed, more than 20 individuals wounded. We understand 8 buildings were affected in that strike. Whether it was a direct strike or falling debris, that is unclear, but a very, very big scene, and it is an active scene at this point. They are trying to get closer in to get a sense of if there are any other individuals who have been trapped. These sort of scenes are why officials with the Israel Defense Forces are encouraging people to pay attention to the warnings, pay attention to the alerts, and to seek shelter and not to come out until the all clear is given. Meanwhile, Israel's President Isaac Herzog was in Tel Aviv at a site of another deadly strike. This strike happened late last night. It was a direct hit. A number of buildings destroyed. The Israeli president there today saying that he feels the pain of people, but also the strength and resilience of Israelis.
But what undermines peace all the time is terror instigated by this Iranian evil regime. That's why we're here. The people of Israel are strong. The Israeli army is strong. The American army is strong. And of course, our allies are strong. And let nobody fool himself. We shall overcome and hopefully bring a new era to the Middle East and Iran.
So those are just 2 of the sites that people are paying close attention to where there have been deaths, there have been injuries, and people again are worried that we will see more scenes like that here in Israel. Marianne?
Thanks so much for this, Crystal. The CBC's Crystal Gamansing in Jerusalem. And for more on this, let's bring in the CBC's Willie Lowry in Washington. Willie, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social he was adamant about warning Iran against further retaliation. So what is he saying today?
Yeah, that's right, Marianne. Another day of kinetic activity in the Middle East. And U.S. President Donald Trump warning Iran to think twice before launching strikes at U.S. forces in the region. They are, of course, spread out throughout the Middle East with large bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE, as well as a smaller presence in Syria, Iraq, and elsewhere. Early this morning, Trump took to social media and said, quote, Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever hit before. And this part is in all capitals letters. They better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, this comes obviously after a day of massive strikes by the U.S. and Israel that killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In a post on social media confirming Khamenei's death, Trump described a little bit of what yesterday's military operation looked like, but also said that it would continue for the days to come. He said, quote, the heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. It appears that the administration is hoping that by killing Khamenei, they are creating the opportunity for Iranians to rise up and take control and effectively ending the regime that has been in power since 1979.
Meanwhile, we know that U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has spoken with G7 foreign ministers. How did that conversation go?
Yeah, that's right. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spent much of yesterday working the phones. He held a call with his G7 counterparts, essentially just updating them on the U.S.-Israel operation. G7 countries have expressed support for U.S. efforts to ensure that Iran never has the ability to develop a nuclear weapon. However, several countries, including Canada, made clear that they were not involved militarily or planning-wise in the operation. Rubio had actually been planning on traveling to Israel tomorrow. However, according to a State Department official, that trip has since been canceled as the security situation there remains very much in flux.
That's Willie Lowry in Washington. Thanks, Willie.
My pleasure.